Yud Beis Chav Ches. Perek Yud Beis Pasuk Chav Ches. Okay. Parshas Rei, Shmor v'Shamarto. You should observe and you should listen. Eis kol hadvar ma'ele asher anochi mitzaveko. All these things which I am commanding you, l'man yitav l'cho, it should be good for you, u'levanecha achrecho, and for your children after you, ad olam, forever. Hisase atov v'ayosh b'nei Hashem elokecho. When you will do the good and what's appropriate in the eyes of Hashem. So over here, the Rechaim HaKodesh asks a number of questions, simple questions. You can read the pasuk many times over, and you don't notice, which is seemingly obviously difficult. When we speak of observance, you first have to listen and then you observe. Moshe Rabbeinu says, you will observe and you will listen. It should have said, V'shamato v'tishmor. You will listen and then you will observe. It could have said, Hadvarim. What's Eis Kol Hadvarim? The word Eis is superfluous. What's Eis Kol Hadvarim? Also, when normally Moshe Rabbeinu speaks to Klal Yisrael, he says, L'man yitav l'cho. Why over here does he mention Ulevonecha achrecho? It will be good for you and your children after you. Ad olam. When you do the good. So again, just review the questions. It should have said, Shamato ushmor. You listen, then you observe. It could have said, Hadvar mo kol advarim. Right, what's the ace? The word ace is superfluous. Thirdly or fourthly, it could have said, L'man yitav l'cho. Why in this pasuk does it mention banecho? It should be good for you and your children after you, ad olam, forever, when you will do the good. So he explains, if you take a look at the Rechaim HaKodesh, he says, Ochena kavoni shem mitzava al shnei dvarim. He's speaking about Moshe's addressing two things. Echad Torah u'mitzvahs Hashem, asher nodu Yisrael mipi Moshe. Shemor is speaking, observing the Torah Shebechsav, Torah Shebal Peh. The Torah, that's Torah mitzvahs. Obeys, what's the Shamato? Asher yigzu Rabbeinu Zal hagdorim hasyogim asher yichadshu. The Shamato is observing the fences that are going to be legislated and promulgated by the Chachomim. L'zeh keneged Torah u'mitzvahs shem yuduim kvar b'Torah omashmor. The Torah mitzvahs, that's Torah Shebechsav, Torah Shebal Peh, which is known to you already, Shmor, that you must observe. What's going to be introduced by Chazal, Omav Shamat, and you will listen. You will listen to what they tell you. You have to accept all their fences and all their legislations. Romaz b'maimer kol. Pirish ace. What is the ace? Ace is always an adjunct. There's something which is associated with the Torah. The rabbis call gzer shmiras hagdorim sheichadshom b'seinu zal. That's the kol. That's the ace kol. What you hear in a minute. Vomer kol. What's ace? Because if you observe the siyogim, then you have it all. Then you observe the Torah law in its complete context. Pirishim tzos hagdorim yuadvorim nishmorim bishleimus. If you have the ace, then you have kol advorim. It's only through the fences do you have the kol. Do you have the mitzvah and Torah in its complete state? For omrim kol advorim ki zula zeh, because without the fence, ein a mitzvah nase kula bishleimus. The mitzvah will not be done in its most complete form. As a result of the fence, nothing will be detracted or deficient from the mitzvah. You do the mitzvah in its complete form. We're not finished. The Gomar, and it concludes, it will be good for you and your children, which means what guarantees and secures the eternity of Klal Yisrael. Ke'agdorim usyogim she'osu Rabbeinu Zal. The legislations and the fences which Chazal promulgated, Udover Hamamid Doiros Am B'nei Yisrael Le'olam, that guarantees the perpetuation and the eternity of Klal Yisrael forever. Lavdilo mikol kir v'adomelo, to separate us from anything which is inappropriate and anything which has any relevance to that kind of situation. This is how Orach Chaim HaKodesh is learning the pasuk. So the Shemor is going on, the Torah Shebechsav, Torah Sheba'al Peh, and the mitzvahs. The Shamato is going on defenses. The ace is the adjunct. And now then you'll be able to do Kol HaDvorim. You'll be able to do the mitzvahs b'shleimus, and that will guarantee it will be not only good for you, ulovanecho. That will guarantee the perpetuation and the eternity of Klal Yisrael as they should be. Now, we had mentioned the Orach Chaim HaKodesh. Everybody, the Midrash asked the question, the Rishonim asked the question. If we already said Nasa v'Nishma, why was it Kofel Mehar Giyus? Why did God put a mountain over our heads? That's the question that Medrash Chuma asks, and there are many answers. The Orach Chaim HaKodesh answers. It just went out. The internet.
Don't touch it, it'll come back. Don't touch it, I can't do anything. Don't touch it, what are you touching?
1 second. This happens continuously. I have to call Verizon. Okay, we're back.
So it's the storm results.
Yeah, they have to fix it. It's gone for a few days already. Hello? Is everybody back? Elliot?
Can hear you.
Are you back? Okay.
I never left.
What? The internet is still not, it's choppy. We have to, Verizon has to come and fix it.
We didn't leave you left, Rabbi.
Okay.
I think we lost you when you were saying if we already have Nasan and Ishma.
Right, so why did Hashem have put the mountain overhead? So the Orach Chaim HaKodesh answers that the mountain overheads was that we have to accept the siyogim that Chazal will legislate, which will guarantee the observance of the Torah that should be kept properly. So that they said to Hashem, but there's no end to it. The Chachomim, they can actually put us in a straitjacket. We're not going to be able to move. Of course, they'll start. We don't know to what degree they're going to legislate all these fences. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says you have to accept it, because without siyogim, the Torah cannot survive. And that's exactly what the pasuk is saying here. Shmor v'shamato. If you want to observe Torah mitzvahs, v'shamata ace, you have to observe and accept the siyogim and the gzeros, the legislations and the fences of Chazal. Then you have kol advar me'ela. Then it's guaranteed you have do the mitzvah b'shleimus in its most complete form, and also it guarantees that there will be a future of Klal Yisrael. Otherwise, everything is very iffy and probably not. So it's consistent with the Kofim Meharke Gigus, as the Orach Chaim HaKodesh learned. So I thought we had mentioned a famous Rabbeinu Yonah, which he mentions this in 2 locations. In his commentary on Pirkei Avos and Shari Tshuva, there's a medrash that says that Chavivim Divrei Sofrim Miyenu Shel Torah, that rabbinic fences to Hashem are more beloved than the Torah itself. Why? So Rabbeinu Yonah says that all the mitzvahs are paparos liyerushamayim. What's the essence of the observance of Torah? The essence is Yerushalayim, to fear Hashem. Whenever a person does mitzvah, why are you doing the mitzvah? It's an expression of your fear of Hashem. Otherwise, why are you doing it? Whether it's kashrus, whether it's tefillin, whether it's Shabbos, whether it's Kriya Shema. I'm doing it because Hashem commanded me to do it. So when you observe it and you do it, and the more perfectly you do it, the more meticulously do it, it's a greater expression of Yerushalayim. What's a fence? A fence is rabbinic, that you're concerned you may violate the word of Hashem. So in which context do we have a greater display of Yerushalayim? In the Doraisa, in the Torah law, or in the rabbinic law? There's a greater display of Yerushalayim, the rabbinic law, than the Torah law. Because offense is, I'm worried I may violate. Chas v'shalom, I may violate it. So it's an expression, a demonstration of a greater level of Yerushalayim. Therefore, Chazal tell us, Chavivin divrei sofrim miyenu shel Torah, that the words of the sofrim, the Chachomim, are greater, are more beloved to Hashem than the wine of the Torah itself. So I'm saying, the es, when a person observes and accepts the siyogim, because we're concerned that his word should not be violated to a greater degree, we actually guarantee for ourselves a shmira. Hashem says, if you're that concerned about my will, I'll provide that extra shmira for you, that you should not violate the Torah. So it's not only us that we create the fences, but that we accept the fences, that tells us to what degree we revere his word, that we don't want to be violated, and that makes us worthy of a shmira not to violate the Torah itself.